Hey Goldies. Okay. Welcome back to my channel. Um welcome back to my channel. Okay. I am going to make a quick little video and yeah, please share your thoughts with me. Hey Goldie, I see somebody here. Today I am going to be talking about what high value men want. Okay, and the first thing that I'm going to cover is trustworthiness. Okay, I am really looking to grow this channel. So please, if you like this content, feel free to subscribe, okay? Comment. I want to hear your perspective, all of that stuff. Like, let's talk, let's dialogue down below, okay? So we can share our perspectives, okay? All right. So, what I am going to be talking about first is what high value men want. And this perhaps is maybe like one of the things they want most from their woman. All right. And that is trustworthiness. These high value men need to know without a shadow of a doubt that you can be trusted. Okay. And I'm just not talking about sexually. That's one of the things that we think about first, the promiscuity. But I'm talking about period, point blank, across the board. They want to know if they can trust you. All right. And that's one of the reasons why it never made sense to me that we believed that high value men were interested in airheads, right? I, I'm not saying that they looking to marry no brain surgeons or nothing like that, but they definitely want to trust that they are with a competent, level-headed woman that can manage the fort. Okay, if I don't know, the unthinkable happens. Like they want to trust that all of their hard work, all of their life's work and their commitments and stuff are not just gonna go up in flames or sink, in the ocean because you slow and you don't know what you're doing. All right. And especially if this high value man has children with you, that's another thing that's really important to them. This is their lineage. This is their legacy. Like this is serious business. Okay. And they want to be able to trust in you fully. Okay. So, with that being said, for us glamorous, okay, amazingly awesome, okay, beautiful, high value women that we are, we understand the male ego. Okay. And with that being said, we understand that you can't always just have the word vomit and tell your whole story and tell the whole truth. Okay, about yourself. All right. There are some things that you definitely are going to have to share and be open and honest and forthcoming with. And those things can be framed in a really attractive way. But all of your secrets and, you know, those little not so pretty things, okay, uh, we want to think twice about how we share that with the men that are interested in us. Okay. There's another video that I did, and I'll link it in this video, and it talks about the importance of keeping secrets. Why it's important to keep secrets? Okay. Once a man knows some unsavory detail about you or some unfortunate truth about you, like it really can form his judgment towards you moving forward. So you want to be really, really careful about how you share your life and how you share those not so attractive things about yourself with that high value man that is pursuing you. All right. Okay, so we are going to focus on, does your life match up today? Okay, now this is a judgment free zone, Goldies. Okay, I don't judge nobody, and we not going to judge around here. What we are focused on is strategy and making sure that our lives match up to our presentation. All right, and that we're able to openly converse about who it is that we are as a person, who we've come to be, who we've grown to be, and who we would like to be in the future, with parameters, okay? Because we ain't gonna lay it all out there for nobody, okay? Until, we got his wallet in our hand and we got names on everything, okay? And he'll be crazy as hell to walk away from some stupid stuff, okay? But up until that moment, we're not gonna just be open, just brutally honest with him, okay? Because it ain't even his business, to be honest. He needs to be focused on making money for us, okay? Now, we can all appreciate a bit of mystery, but we all know as high value women that there is a fine line between mysterious, a mysterious presentation of yourself or that mystery, and just flat out being dishonest. Okay. Once you go off into the land of dishonesty, you are in choppy waters. And I really believe that it's important to determine your why in dating before you start interacting with a man, okay? A high value man, especially. Of course, you should have a general story that you tell to anybody that you meet, men, women, in a grocery store, wherever. You should have a general story that you tell to people so that they can feel that they know you and that whole thing. But when it comes to a high value man that you are interested in dating, maybe long term, or you're hoping for marriage or something like that in the future, you really want to be selective in how you share, but you want to make sure that you can never be accused of being dishonest. All right. That's one of the main ways that it'll hunt him in the back of his mind that you lied about this little thing, and it really can knock you out the standing. It really can knock you out the running. So you really want to be careful. All right. We know that there is a fine line between that mystery and that dishonesty. Okay. So to be honest, a man wants to hear something that's believable. Okay. He don't necessarily want to hear the truth or all the whole truth, or all your business. He just wants to know something or hear something or be able to receive something that's believable, something that he can sleep well at night thinking. All right. Something that he can share with his friends and colleagues and not feel like a dummy. Okay. All right. So I have broken this conversation down into three categories. Okay. The first category is your relationship history. The second category is your educational history. And then your third category will be your family history. Okay. And these categories should all align and intermesh with each other. They should all align and intermesh with each other. And as I get deeper into them, then and explain where I'm going with this, then you'll understand what I mean by that. Okay. I'm trying to get comfortable. Okay. All right. So first, with relationship history, um, high value men know that women are the prize. They also feel that they are something to be had. And, all of their hard work and all of that type of stuff, is commendable and it should be acknowledged. Okay. But we know that we the prize or whatever, but they want to feel like they are something special too. They want to be acknowledged as something special too. So with that being said, the woman that they choose is a woman that they want to be able to navigate any crowd, any situation, any event, any gathering with, and feel as if he has something that other men are coveting. Okay, he wants to feel as if he has a jewel, like a star. Okay, just something amazing by his side that other men wish. Okay, that they was as bad as he was and they could get what he got. All right. That's what he's thinking as he is is walking through the mall with you, or in this charity fundraiser with you, or out at lunch with you, and guys are seeing you. He is relishing in the attention and knowing that he is good enough for you, like that he has snagged you. Okay. So, with that being said, your relationship history is really important. This is probably one of the things that you could probably lie about the most on. Okay. Um, I ain't here to judge nobody. So whatever your past was is your past, and whatever your quote unquote number is your number. All right. But whenever you talk about your relationship history, you want to make sure that you present it in an attractive way. Okay. Um, for a high value man, it's very important for him. Well, it may be very important for him to know when you first started dating. Okay. Um, he might not mention this to you because I feel like it is so tacky when men ask, like, how many men have you been with? And no high value men that I know or I have observed, asks that question. They are not wanting to know how many men have you been with, but they draw conclusions based upon what you've said. Okay. So if your first real relationship was when you were 16, and your mom was really strict and you couldn't date, but you had a little boyfriend at school, he was a junior varsity or a varsity basketball player, and he was popular, and you used to look forward to going to school so that you could walk past his locker or something like that. Like, that would be something that would be kind of cute for him to hear. Okay. You would mention how you couldn't date and all of this type of stuff, and you might would sneak on the phone and call this person. Okay. That might be something that he would want to hear, that around the typical age of 16, 17, 18, you became interested in guys, and, you started to kind of pay attention to guys, or maybe had your first relationship. He would not like to hear that you were, having boyfriends in middle school. Okay. If you were having boyfriends in middle school, then you don't want to say that. Okay. Like, you don't want to mention that. All right. Your first boyfriend, first relationship type of experience, if that conversation ever comes up, and it can be, you know, as the relationship progresses, one thing that men do is they vet us through conversation, and they don't ask explicit questions like, how old were you when you lost your virginity? How old were you? They don't ask like that. They want to know about your first relationship. And when you tell them about that, or when you begin, when you have that conversation, then that's when they draw their conclusions. They make those inferences and those assumptions, and they make the conclusions from there. So if you are first interested in guys in elementary school, then they are going to be thinking, that you've been kind of open to noticing guys for a long, long time, and their mind can kind of wander from that. So you want to make sure that your relationship history is something that's really attractive. Okay. When you talk about relationships, like, I don't know if you would want to talk about the physical part of it. I really wouldn't. But if that ever came up, of course, that would be after you are 17, 18, 19, 21, and you were tired of being teased by your girlfriends. So you just wanted to see what it was about, or something like that. You really want to, you know, create a nice picture around that. And not only just seeing what it was about, but you were still with your high school sweetheart that you started dating or talking to, sneaking around talking to at 16, and now y'all 21, and you were in love with him and he was in love with you, and yada, yada, yada. Okay? You want to be in love. You don't want to be no sugar baby type shit. No. Do I need to start over? Okay. But you don't want to be no sugar baby. You don't want to be no, this balling man from the hood, the top drug dealer. Like, the top frat boy. Like, you don't want to make it seem like that. You really want to make sure that that first experience is expressed or described as a loving experience, okay? Because that really matters. All right. That tells him what is most what gets you going. That tells him if you are able to operate in your feminine emotions as a whole and healthy woman would, or it tells him if you are interested in, if you have a transactional mind, if you are only interested in intimacy based upon what you could get out the deal, okay? And if you are interested in intimacy based on only what you can get out the deal, then that's your thing, but keep it to yourself, all right? I'm gonna link my video about keeping secrets. It's important that you keep secrets. You would keep that to yourself. You would never want a man to think that you are interested in intimacy for transaction, okay? Um, the length of that first relationship or the length of your longest relationship. If you are talking to this guy, this high value man, as if you are, a family oriented or a centered woman who values relationships, who values the influence of a man, the protection of a man, the provision of a man, the leadership of a man, the guidance of a man, all of those things, then you would be having longer relationships in your past. Okay. You might have only had 2 or 3 boyfriends, depending on how old you are. If you are 25 to 28 years old, you might have had 1 boyfriend. You might have had 2 boyfriends. If you are, 45 years old and you've never been married, okay, you might have wanted to have, 2 or 3 significant men in your life. If you are a single mother and you're 45 years old, you might have had 2 or 3 significant relationships in your life, and the relationship failed, but you produced a child, and here you are now, but you don't want to make it seem as if you've been casually dating for a while. You don't want to make it seem as if you're bringing children into the relationship, that they were created haphazardly, or as if you weren't really thinking about your future or their future when you were engaging in the act. Like, okay, so you really want to think about what image that you are portraying to this person, and have that relationship history line up with that, especially if you're bringing in a child to it. Okay, I don't think that it's beneficial for women to take a long break after a failed relationship. Now, I think that it's time, I think that you need to heal, quote unquote. Okay. I think that you need to rest a little bit, rejuvenate yourself. I'm not going to put a time limit on it, but I'll say, some months. Okay. Like, more than 3 or 4 months. Okay. But less than 12 months. Okay. You really want to give yourself an opportunity to put things in perspective. But if you are an older woman who's never been married and you may have children or something, then your relationship history might include some long gaps of not being in a relationship. Okay. Because that's time that you focused on yourself, or that's time that you focused on your children, or that's time that you went back to school, or you built a business or something like that. All right. But if you're an older woman, you don't want to have a whole bunch of casual relationships. You don't want to make it seem as if your time has been filled casually. And if you are a younger woman and you are, talking to a high value man, you want to have been with 1, maybe 2 people. And those people, I just say 1. Okay. I wouldn't even say 2. Okay. Because he don't need to know your business, girl. Okay. But I say 1. And I would say that I was so much in love with this person and devastated when the relationship ended. Okay. But I learned X, Y, and Z real quick, 2, 3 sentences. All right. And the reason why these things are being said, and the reason why they are being said in this way, is to calm him. Okay, a lot of advice in the community, in my opinion, is very misleading. High value men don't want to view you as some hoe. Okay, they don't want to think that you got no hoe up in you. Okay, even if you full of hoe. You don't want him to think that you got no hoe up in you, because a high value man wants to rest in you. Okay? It's very important. He wants to rest in you. That's like when we talk about the thing when guys, might make a sexual comment or something, and a lot of times in our community, they say that we should respond and say something about money, and that is a mistake. Okay, it could be a test that he is wanting to see where you're going to go with it. And if he says something about sex and you bump out and say something about money, then you didn't disqualified yourself. All right. And if he is like not worth it and he says something about sex and you don't reply with money, no. If he is that type of guy and says something about sex and you say something about money and he says, okay, how much? Okay, what can you do besides look stupid? Now what? Are you finna go for the 500 that you told him it was gonna cost? The 1,000, you know what I'm saying? Are you gonna go for that? And even if you do or you don't, you still have to put a price on yourself. Okay. So be really careful in how you respond to to questions, to conversations when engaged with a high value man, because he's smart. Okay, I know we think men are dumb, but he's smarter than the average bear. He's used to listening to people, and he can see through the facade of a woman real quick. So that's why I'm making this video, so that you can understand the importance of creating a story that matches up through all of your categories. All right. So now, if you in your relationship history, depending on your age, you're going to want to talk about if you were ever married. Now, a man doesn't have to know that you were um, not engaged. Okay, so if you are 45 years old and a single mother, or 45 years old and never have had children, and you've never been married, you don't want to tell him that. You don't want to tell him that you have never been married if you're 45 years old. And you don't want to tell him that you haven't had a long term relationship at 45 either. Because he's going to wonder, like, what's wrong with you? He's going to wonder why no other guy has seen, like, the awesomeness that you are, the same awesomeness that he has noticed in you, but he's wondering if he's tripping or not. Okay, he's wondering, like, is he a damn fool? Okay, if he's the only person that has seen this value in you, and no other man out of 45 years has seen that in you, okay, or 30 years, okay, has seen that in you. You want to say that you are engaged, if possible. If you are 30 and over, you want to say that you were engaged. You want to say that the engagement ended. If you didn't get married, you want to say that the engagement ended, and the reason why it ended was because, let's think of something real quick. Why did the engagement end? The engagement ended because he suffered a personal loss in his family, and it was a horrendous loss. It was just too much for him to deal with. Okay. And you stayed friends with him to support him emotionally through the time, but the weight of it really suffocated the relationship. Boom. Okay. That's it. Okay. If you are over 30, you don't, yeah, over 35, I'll say, you don't want to say that you've never been engaged or you haven't been in long-term relationships when you're talking to a high value man. All right. Because he wants to know, number one, that you have not just been loose out here and free. Okay. We fighting for our freedom. I'm not a feminist or whatever, but I understand why it's important that feminism is a thing. Okay. So we're fighting for our freedom or whatever, but a man doesn't want to view his prize of a woman as having been free. Okay, as having been loose, as having been what they call that, them hippie people, free love people. They don't want to view you like that. Okay, so you want to make sure that you give off a perception of you have been in long-term relationships and you have been under the provision, the protection of a man. Okay. Now, this can be your father. We'll talk about that in the family once we get to the family. This can be your father's protection, or this can be your big brother's protection. But, it's important that that male dominance, that male influence is there for a high value man. Okay. Because he wants to know that the men in your life have surrounded you and they have taken care of you. All right. If a high value man, believes that you don't have that, for that paternal support, like that male, protection in your life, um, it weighs against you. It counts against you. And not so much of the sorry people up in your life, but it really counts against you, because he's going to think that you don't know how to communicate with him. He's going to think that you don't know how to be submissive. Okay. He's going to think that you don't know how to take direction from a man. He's going to think so many different things if you tell him that you have not been in a relationship for long spans of time. All right. So you want to make sure that is something that you communicate to him in a roundabout way, so that settles him and allows him to be able to trust that he can have a long-term relationship with you. Okay. If you were married, and you were separated, or no, you divorced, then you want to talk about, you might have to mention that a little bit. You don't have to get in detail about it. Okay. But one thing I know is that these men be so mean, okay? And they be wanting us to be okay with it. They be wanting us to like accept this condescending like language communication. And I know that we are emotional and stuff like that, but they just be like rude sometimes. And once you are in a marriage, you know, you are, for lack of a better word, you are off the market. You are in the house now. And especially if you have a high value man that can sit you down, like they say, and stop you from working and stuff, it's beautiful, because you are able to just relax and be in your feminine. But the reality is that your whole outside life has been cut off now. You don't have opportunities to go to work and haphazardly meet people at Starbucks or, Target. Like, you don't have that opportunity to kind of be out in the world no more. You are in the house doing things in the house. And we talk about not cooking and cleaning and all of that stuff. You got your chef coming in, you got your maids coming in, and you just sitting in there looking pretty. Okay. And that's cool and everything. But he's outside with other beautiful women. Okay. That are beautiful and wanting to have what you have. Okay. So once you become the wife and you are in the house, it's a totally different ball game. It's a totally different ball game. So that man that married you, that pursued you, that wooed you and chased you and stuff, once he got you in that house and you're not working no more, or maybe you got one or two children now with him, or you have settled into this amazing life that he's giving you or whatever, please understand, okay, that there's a whole other thing that comes into relating and interacting with a man as his wife. Okay. As his wife. Okay. Because his investment of caring for you in the house and all of that stuff is significant, but that don't mean that he's always going to be nice to you. Okay. So if you are interacting with this high value man and you talk about the fact that you were married and now you're divorced, that's the reason why you were divorced, because he was cheating on you and being emotionally distant or something like that. Okay. Like, he hurt you so much internally that you just couldn't stay in the relationship, in the marriage anymore. And like, there's no hard feelings, but you just respected yourself too much, or you wanted to be a good role model for your children so much that you just couldn't allow yourself to continue to be mistreated like that. And that's the reason why the marriage ended. Okay. You don't want to get into know what he's not, if he dropped the ball or whatever. You don't want to get into all of that. You don't want to look like a severe victim, because men know that we be putting on as well. So you just want to pull on his empathetic strings a little bit. And also let him know that if after he has married you and brought you into his mansion, okay, and y'all got y'all chefs and y'all maids and everything all good for y'all, if he try to pull that, he gonna go out here and see what else is out there for him, then he will know that you will also pack up and leave his behind too. Okay. So you just want to slip some of this stuff in here so that they can begin to think about this, because best believe when before he go to bed at night, this is one thing that the guys don't talk about. And we talk about these high value men and all of this type of stuff. One thing that these men are not talking about in these YouTube streets, because I'm making some more videos after this, because these people get up on YouTube and on social media and just be lying, okay, about the real world and the real life. Okay. One thing that these people are not talking about is that men fall in love too. Okay. Now, only thing you got to do is be a woman that a man can fall in love with, but a man falls in love too. All right. So, so you want him to, be able to trust in you and think that whole thing. So, oh, okay. Now keep going. I'm still in the relationship category. When you are talking about your past relationships, if you ever have to talk about this, because you might not never have to talk about it, but if you do have to mention it, you are going to be talking about the amazing guys that you used to date. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing, y'all. Sorry. You are going to be talking about the amazing guys that you used to date. You ain't used to date no bums. You didn't used to date no rappers. You didn't used to date no stingy men. You didn't used to date no players, no womanizers. You didn't used to date no men with no insecurities. Like, you were dating top-notch, high-quality men. All right. And whenever you talk about why the relationship ended, make sure it's like only one or two, but it's only about cheating and mistreatment of your emotions and how you just couldn't manage that anymore. It kept you up at night and you weren't even able to sleep or eat, and you just started losing weight so much and you just had to do something. So you went back to your mom and you know got back on your feet. Okay. Like, that's what you want to be talking about. You do not want to be talking about your ex was a bum. Your ex was a worked at the car dealership. Your ex, was a garbage man. You know what I'm saying? Okay, no, your ex was an entrepreneur, and this is his business. Well, now you don't want to tell me business, but he was an entrepreneur. He did something significant, something substantial. He had a degree. He had degrees. He was a CEO, a director, something. You want to present your past as pristine and as beautiful as your present and your future is. Okay. So the men that you talk about are always, high caliber. They might not be as highly esteemed as this high value man that you're talking to, but they ain't no bums. Okay. They ain't no musicians at church. Okay. They ain't no musicians at church. Okay. And then children, if you are bringing children into a relationship with high value men, people be talking like high value men are some type of alien or something. A high value man can fall in love with you just as well as, any other man. And a high value man can meet you and want you so bad, so freaking bad, okay, that he will accept the fact that you have a child or two. Okay, now I'm not gonna say or five. Okay, if he gonna accept that you got 5 kids, then you a bad mama jamma and you got some game. Okay, and you make sure that you put some of your tips and pointers in the comments so we all can get like that. Okay, but a high value man will accept 1 or 2 children. Don't believe the hype. Don't people be on here lying, making it seem like these men are so cutthroat and yada yada yada. But no, um these men will accept a child or two. It's all in how you present it and present yourself. Okay. And for me, I'm just going to say really quickly, the woman I was 5 years ago, pales, okay? Pales in comparison to the woman I am today. And I'm 5 years older. Now, 10 years from now, like I am going to be so amazingly, awesomely, absolutely dynamic. Okay,
It's 8 o'clock.
10 years from now. But I'm going to be 10 years older and I'm not going to be able to have children anymore. But it's a different game for a mature, experienced woman and a young 19 to 25-year-old woman. Okay, a mature, experienced woman knows what she wants and generally knows how to get it. All right. And I'm gonna make a video about that. Okay, because a lot of us feel like the older that we get, the more of a disadvantage we are at. But do y'all see how fine I am? I did not look like this 2 years ago. Thank you. Okay. Now let's keep going. So that's the relationship part. Those are the things that you want to consider. Those are the things that you want to like have a story for. You want to be able to, if those things come up in conversation, you want to be able to lightly talk about it and drop hints on it to let him know where you are and your perspective on this stuff and not to try you. Okay? Because the deeper you get into the relationship with this man, he's gonna try you. They all do it. And we be talking about, oh, I look so good. You know, he invested so much in me. He ain't gonna try me. No. Okay. It's in a man's nature to try the woman that he's with, okay? Because he wants to know that she loves him and all of this type of stuff. We're gonna have to talk about another video about tough love because some of these men, you really gotta legit leave them in order for them to understand not to play with you, okay? And you gotta be strong enough in your mind and in your heart to leave, okay? You can't act like you're leaving and stay because if you act like you're gonna leave a high value man and you stay, you act like you're going to leave a high value man because of his behavior and you end up staying, like, just forget the rest of the relationship. Just forget the rest of the relationship. All right. So some of these men, you really are going to have to like stand in your power and be firm. And it's not always cute. Okay. So that's the relationship piece. Okay. I'm moving on into the educational history now. Things are a little different for younger women versus older women. Okay. A younger, beautiful woman can not have an education. Okay. I don't recommend it. Now, in the community, we talk about not going to school and all of that type of stuff. I don't recommend none of that. What I say is that a young woman needs to go to school. She needs to go to a good school if possible. And what she needs to do um, is gain some connections and resources while she's there. She needs to create a network, women and men. A lot of us think it's just we just going there to get a husband, but no, you going there to get a friend group as well. You need to be making friends with everybody, even the professors and stuff, for mentorship and other type of opportunities as they may come up. Okay, so for a young woman can get away with not having an education. Okay, but an older woman, like in the community, the level of community, we were saying a couple years ago, okay, even now probably, I don't know, but we were saying a couple years ago that we should tell high value men that we are a receptionist. And that never sat right with my spirit. It never sat right with my spirit, okay? Because all of the high value men that I know and that I've been around, they appreciate intelligence. They don't want no dumb woman. Okay, and when we think about who we're trying to be for these, it's getting dark. Let me text my baby. Um, Hold on for 1 second. Oh my goodness. Hello? Good, how are you? Oh, I'm so sorry, y'all. Okay, so I only got a couple more minutes. So an older woman, what's I talking about? Education. An older woman, we were saying that we should be receptionists. And let me say, of a high value man does not want to meet no 35-year-old receptionist. I'm sorry. Now, a 20 something year old can say that. A 21, 25-year-old can say that. But even a 28-year-old woman that's a receptionist to a high value man, he's wondering, what are you doing with your life? Like, what are you doing with your time? Okay. Like, there's beauty is a privilege and it goes far, but it's going to take some amazing, dynamic beauty, okay, for a 35-year-old to be making $10 an hour and, people be all right with that. Okay. Um, you know, you know what I'm saying? It makes when I'm talking about a guy being able to trust you, when he thinks about um how you take care of yourself. Okay? How do you pay your bills on a receptionist salary? How? How do you do that? And then if you say that you have a child too, and you're a receptionist, like it sounds stupid. It sounds stupid. So your educational background, your educational history should be a nice reflection of who you are presenting yourself as today. Okay. Younger women can say that they don't have education. Older women are going to need some type of education. Now, you don't have to have a PhD or anything like that, but you need to be making 50,000. You know what I'm saying? Like, he don't want to think that you're on welfare and you 35 years old and you're a single mother. Okay. Because then he going to be going back into your relationship history. Who was this dude that you was with? Who is this baby by? What did he do? What kind of money does he make? What type of decisions were you making when you were interested in this guy? So you see how if your story doesn't match up in all of these categories, then it just knock you out the box. All right. So if you don't have a degree and you're 35 years old, then what type of job do you do and what type of money are you making? Not all high value men ask about money, but some of them do. Some of them do ask about money, and some of them want to know that you are self sufficient. Not that you're rich or not that you can buy yourself this Chanel bag that he's finna buy you, but that you can pay your basic bills and like keep food in your refrigerator. All right. He don't want to think that he done met some 35-year-old single mother that can't feed herself or her babies. So think about that when you talk about your educational history, your work history, and all of that stuff. Think about what you're really saying about yourself when you tell a high value man something stupid like you are a 35-year-old receptionist. All right. Um, then they'll think about the location as well. If you're a 35-year-old receptionist in New York, okay, girl, come on. If you're a 35-year-old receptionist in Arkansas, maybe so. Maybe you're working for a college or something like that and you're getting 30,000. It's not the best, but you ain't, you know, hitting it. You just ain't struggling or suffering or something like that. So also make sure that your location aligns with your education or your work history. Um, if you're in California and you say that you're a receptionist, that might have a different tone than if you are in St. Louis and you are a receptionist. All right. So think about that. Okay. I think that really good jobs or positions to say that you have would be like a teacher or a social worker or something like that. You usually have to have an entry level of education for that. And they're not too high paying, but they are able to sustain one or two people, so that's something that will give him confidence and allow him to trust that you're not just out here ready to run through his wallet, even though you might be. Okay, we're gonna keep that a secret. Okay. Um, Now, if you are in a career and that's the reason why you are single or have never been married, then you want to make sure it's a good career. You want to make sure that you're a doctor or something. You want to make sure that you're a lawyer or something so that it kind of makes sense. You cannot be a receptionist and been talking about your career and that's why you've been single. You can't be a data analyst, a technology supervisor, a technology support supervisor, and you talking about that's the reason why you didn't get a husband or you haven't been having serious relationships is because you have been focusing on your career, because that's something that you can kind of do both at the same time. Now, if you traveling abroad, if you from this continent to that continent, if you working with, heads of states and stuff like that, then you can say something like that. Okay. But if you don't have something that really is impacting and kind of stops you in your tracks and something that you have to only focus on in terms of your work, and one of those positions would be really, really masculine. But if you don't have something like that, then don't use your career as a reason as to why you weren't married or whatever. Okay. Um, all right. So then I also put on this list cost of living. And if you're poor, like they want to know that you are able to make it. The cost of living should align with your position. That you say that you work in and kind of how you're living. Okay. One thing I'm thinking about is Hawaii. They say Hawaii is really expensive. If you're living in Hawaii and you're talking to a high value man, and the cost of living is, a gallon of milk is $7. That's something that I heard. Honestly, a gallon of milk is $5, $6, $7. How are you really taking care of yourself if you're only making $10 an hour? That's something that you really got to think about. All right, and then family history. This is the last one, and I got to get ready to go, so I might have to speed through this one, or I might have to come back and do a part two. But now, family history. If you are a woman that is saying to your high value man that marriage is important to you because you want him to marry you, because you want to solidify everything, all right, and you want him to bring you up into the big house and sit you down, okay, and make it so that you can be the person that's ordering the cleaning services and having the groceries sent to the house, if that's what you're wanting from him, okay, then you have to present the picture as if that is what you were raised to have, to raise, if that's the life that you were raised to create for yourself, that you were raised in. Okay. So when you talk about your mom and dad are gonna have been married for 20 or 30 years, even if they divorced or something. They still will have been married for 20 years. You still will have been conceived in wedlock. You still would know your father and have a good relationship with him. All right. If you didn't know your dad, your mother was a single mother, your mother had got kids with different fathers. You don't know your dad, you don't have any examples of marriages and stuff like that. Then how can a high value man really believe what you're saying when you say that marriage is important to you? All right. If marriage is important to you, and if marriage is important to you in your heart, it's not your fault that you were born to a single parent. That's why he don't got to know it. Okay. If marriage is important to you in your heart, he don't got to know that you don't know your daddy. All right. That's why you don't tell him. Okay. But you make sure that what you do tell him aligns with where it is that you are trying to go. Um, um, I think it's a good thing to always pretend like you got a good relationship with your father, even if you don't know him. Because in my secrets video that I'm gonna link, once a man knows something that's unattractive or unsavory about you, it knocks you down, in his eyes. And it doesn't mean that he is not going to be interested in you anymore, but it could count against you, and he just not even mention it or not even let on that it's counting against you, but it's definitely something that could count against you. So I want to say that you should always have a good relationship with your father. If you feel like you will never be able to have a good relationship with your father, or this high value man won't eventually be able to meet your father, then guess what? Your father died. He's dead. He died when I was 7. And sometimes I still think about him. And I miss him. And I think about the times when, my friends had their dads at the daddy daughter dances and my dad was gone. You know, that's what you're talking about. Okay. Because no high value man wants to know that his woman didn't know that. Period. If dad is gone and dad ain't do what he was supposed to do, then dad was dead. Okay, and He deserved that. Okay. He deserved for you to be walking around here telling people that his behind is dead. Okay. He deserved that because he ain't doing nothing that he was supposed to have been doing. All right. Relationships with older brothers and cousins and uncles and all of that type of stuff. You should be the apple of every man's eye in your life. Okay. They should be giving you good advice. They should be there to support you. They should be there to help you if you need anything. They should be sending you gifts and stuff like that for Christmas in the mail. And Uncle Ronnie, used to take you fishing and all of this type of stuff. Like a high value man wants to know that the men in your life protect you and are there for you. Okay. You don't want to say nothing like my big brother went to jail. Okay, like you know what I'm saying? Y'all know pretty much how not to overshare. So don't be telling them all your business or all that unsavory stuff. Your big brothers are married. They have wives. They have been married for, 10 years, 15 years. I don't know if this is Lent or what. But they've been married for 15 years. They have children that are the apple of their eyes. They, are there for parent teacher conferences. They go on field trips with the kids. Like your brothers, your uncles, your cousins, the men in your life are dynamic. Okay. And that lets this high value man know not to try to play with you. Some high value men will come in and be high value for a certain span of time. And then after that, they off on to the next woman. And then when they off on to the next woman, guess where that leaves you? It leaves you right where you are with exactly what it is that you have. So you want to make sure that the perception, the picture that he has of you is always something that can never be discounted or taken down. Okay. And then the last thing, what did I put on here? I can't never read this one thing. I don't know what this is saying. The commitment level. I think that's what it's saying. Commitment level. But yeah, so he wants to trust in your commitment level that you can withstand a marriage. Now, a lot of women, a lot of wives don't tell you this and they are not honest about this. But when they say that marriage is not easy, it's not easy because this man has you already. He has you already. So as a wife, you have to make sure that you can do the maneuvers to keep him interested. And those maneuvers could be so many different things. And we'll talk about that in the future. But all men know that they play these games, and all men know that, you know, all men know what type of stuff they be doing. Okay. And he wants to feel confident in you and your ability to have a healthy relationship. All right. And if even if that includes forgiving him or something, I don't know, he wants to believe that you can do it. Now, I'm not saying that you will forgive him, okay? Because if you do the right thing and we can go ahead and skedaddle, okay, then we can go ahead and skedaddle, okay? Hello? Yes. Okay, so my husband downstairs. So I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.